We have now entered the stage in the Iran-United States-Israel war where truth has become a casualty, and we're also entering into a phase where the psychological warfare, at least to those who pay attention to it, is pretty obvious. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, as the case may be, wherever you are. My name is Steve Kostick, and you're viewing the Political Blowback podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. This week started on a very, very interesting note because early Saturday last, Donald Trump came out and said to Iran, you have 48 hours to open the Strait of Hormuz, and if you don't, we're going to strike your power plants. And we're going to start with the largest one, and assuredly, rest assured, we're going to take out all of your power plants. Well, of course, this is a war crime. You're attacking civilian infrastructure. You're not attacking military. He would have been attacking civilians. I think it's very, very important to note that in response to this, Iran had come out and said, okay, you want to do that? Then you rest assured that once you do that, we're going to start attacking civilian infrastructure in your allied countries. I guess the predicated assumption there is they were saying, you hit our power plants, we're going to hit Kuwaiti power plants, we're going to hit United Arab Emirates power plants, we're going to hit Oman power plants and Saudi Arabia power plants. That's the inference, although that was not explicitly expressed. My guess that over the course of the weekend, during that 48-hour period that the ultimatum was in effect, I would lay good money from a betting perspective that the State Department phone started to ring off the wall, and the Gulf state allies probably got to the State Department and said, look, Marco Rubio, look, you can't do this. You're putting our people at the exposure to great risk now. The implications here can be absolutely devastating to our people. And we didn't sign up for this. This is not, this is your war. This is what you wanted, you and Benjamin Netanyahu. But you just happen to have a military base inside of our country, or two or three. And this is getting really, really out. It's bad enough that the entire world's economy is pretty much under siege and under threat because of the instability that took place in the Straits of Hormuz and the upheaval in the oil markets. So I think it would probably be a pretty good bet that the Gulf states vehemently protested this. So now, what's Donald Trump going to do? Here comes the psychological warfare. His posture all along, up until Monday morning past, is he's going to carry a big stick, and he's going to wield that big stick, and he's going to tout the United States as being the most powerful nation in the world, and we will use that big stick. And there was no hint of diplomacy. There was no hint of an olive branch being extended. No hint at sitting down and talking things through into a peaceful resolve. So the heat ostensibly really got ramped up on Donald Trump because it put him into a position where, okay, I've said what I've said. Now I have to put up or shut up. And the allies are the Gulf state allies are not happy about what I just did. So what am I going to do? Well, he comes out on Monday morning and he says, we're having talks. We're having negotiations with Iran. And these negotiations leave a large amount of optimism that this situation will be resolved into a peaceful resolve. And he did that on Monday morning prior to the market opening. And lo and behold, what happened in the financial markets later that day? You finally, after a number of days of the Dow Jones Industrial Average taking a beating, you finally started to see it turn around. You started to see the price of oil come down roughly about 10% in a single day. And now Donald Trump has now discovered a new psychological tool. And that is that if he says this conflict is going to be resolved, and there's optimism to that end, the financial markets are going to respond very, very positively. So beyond what's happened there, as the week went on, we started to find out more details about these supposed negotiations. And one of the things that we found out is that there were actually no real negotiations at all. More accurately, it sounds to me, at least at the point of the making of this video, like Pakistan is, or the government of Pakistan is working as an intermediary between Iran and the United States. I have a little bit of difficulty with that because it was presented as though we're in talks with the top people inside of Iran. And that word talks was thrown around pretty loosely. When you think about talks and negotiation, you think about actually sitting down with people to try to reach an understanding. What we found out in hindsight is it was more like just Pakistan being an intermediary, passing some information along and bouncing things off of Iran. Now, Iran made it very, 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 very clear. We don't want Steve Witkoff and we don't want Jared Kushner because we can't trust those guys. They made that abundantly clear. And I dare say, rightfully so. Let's go back approximately 30 days. They're right in the middle of negotiations with Iran, and there's optimism all the way around that, we're getting very close to an agreement here, and things are going exceptionally well, and all of a sudden, boom, the United States and Israel attacked Iran. One of their first targets was a school full of young girls, which is just unconscionable. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that on this planet. That's not collateral damage. They know exactly where they're launching bombs. These things can be deadly accurate, and but that's another story. But here they are, right in the middle of these negotiations. And the optimism, and they just turn around and essentially they stab Iran in the back at the negotiating table. I don't think you have to be a Rhodes Scholar or you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that the United States has put themselves in a position of being suspect when it comes to trust. Um, so I think that that's the first really, really large mistake that Donald Trump made. Uh, you can argue at this point, he wasn't even going into those negotiations in good faith because, again, the optimism was there, extreme optimism. And like, we're going to reach an agreement. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the United States attacks Iran. So I think Iran has a good point. And now, amongst all this talk about talks and negotiations, uh, and again, it's not there unless you're sitting at a table negotiating with someone directly. You're not really negotiating. This is like grade school, where you got bully Tommy over in the corner, and you've got bully Eddie sitting in the other corner of the classroom. And then right in the middle, you have Jimmy, and Jimmy is friends with both of them, and Jimmy's just passing some notes from Tommy to Eddie and Eddie to Tommy. That's not a negotiation. That's actually a moot point because Iran made it abundantly clear throughout this entire week. They even came out and said, there are no talks. We're not negotiating. The reason he's doing this and the reason he's saying this is he wants to settle the financial markets. And that was mission accomplished. But in amongst all these denials by Iran throughout the week, who just basically poo-pooed this notion that they were talking and that there was negotiations, the financial markets never, from what I can see, they never looked at that and said, well, wait a second. Yeah, there's two people here. There's Donald Trump and there's the nation of Iran and their representatives. And Wall Street never said, hang on a sec. Let me get this straight. Iran is saying, no, there's no talks. And they essentially came right out and said, that's just propaganda to settle financial markets. So you can see these psychologies starting to build here. And again, Wall Street Wall Street behaved this week in a really, really interesting fashion. When Donald Trump would say something that they viewed as positive, up would go the stock market, oil would drop a little bit, 5 to 10%. They're at his beck and call. But it's a lot like being in a room with someone who's talking on their telephone. You're only hearing one side of the conversation. What you don't hear is the responses from the other person on the other side of the line. And I think that's a big part of the psychology here. They're trying to create this illusion that we are making progress. At one point, an intermediary in Pakistan gave the 15-point so-called peace plan to Iran, and Iran, for the first time, acknowledged that yes, we've been in receipt of that, but we're not. It's unacceptable, and you've maximized all of your demands, but we're not going for that. So in response, there were 5 demands from Iran that were countered to the United States through this intermediary. A big part of their demands is that they want territorial sovereignty over their own nation, and they want They want not only territorial sovereignty, but they want to be assured that they have complete domain over the Strait of Hormuz. So you can see the friction that's building. Um, and I think it's really interesting when we talk about psychological warfare. This is psychological warfare that is also cast upon the minds of the average American citizen, and I'll say Iranian citizen as well, where they're trying to create an image to calm things down. Yeah, I understand why they're doing that, but look, you have 60% of the people in the United States of America who are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford an extra $45 to $50 a week for gas, or an extra $200 a month for gasoline. And they're certainly not going to be able to afford the price increases that are going to go hand in hand with all the supply disruptions that are being caused here. And, around the globe, these challenges are starting to intensify. The head of the IEA, International Energy Agency, is already saying to countries, get your people working at home, get your people taking transit, public transit, because we have a big problem here. And yeah, you're probably not going to see the full brunt of it for another 45 to 60 days, but you will see little telltale signs that are going to bump up incrementally all the way along. I think it's really important also to understand that the nation of Iran also has their way that's not so subtle of casting their propaganda and psychological warfare on their people. This morning I saw a video which I am not going to share because I do not agree with it. It was an AI generated video that purportedly was what came out of Iran state media, and it was broadcast, assumingly, on RT television, which is Russian television. And at the end of this video, you have, these bombs that seemingly are missiles that are launched from Iran. And the Ayatollah is watching and overseeing this launch of this bomb. And it hits the Statue of Liberty. And the Statue of Liberty explodes. I hope you can understand why I don't want to share that. I don't like the message, but I think it's important to be aware. And that video is floating around social media as we speak. I think what's to come, we got troops coming into the Gulf region. Marines are scheduled to land this weekend. And Iran has been completely defiant, and they're saying, no, we don't want anything to do with your proposal. Here's ours. And, if you want peace, you have to accept ours. So there is a standoff here. I'm expecting a lot more psychological warfare. I'm expecting a lot more propaganda coming out from both sides. And, I think whether you're a Canadian or you're an American or you're an Iranian or a European, I think it's important to realize that in warfare, truth is the first casualty. The biggest challenge I have for you is tell me your thoughts, and tell me in the comment section, please. What do you think? What do you think the falsehoods are here? Who's telling the truth? What? I think it's pretty clear at this point that there is no margin for an immediate ceasefire because this wrangling appears like it's going to go on. and the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain closed for a time. Let's wait and see what happens. You have a wonderful day. And and please, if you have it in your heart, please give us a like and a share and a subscribe. We are a new podcast, and I hope you enjoyed the Muse. Democracy is a two-way conversation. So please, I invite you to engage in the comment section to share your thoughts on the psychological warfare that's going on, and perhaps how you think this is going to resolve and when it's going to resolve. Have a great day.